Welcome back to another episode of the Canon on the Boom Bust channel. I'm your host Terry, and today doing a review of Bugonia. I do not know how to say that director's name, but stars Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone. So we're in Oscar season. I kind of opted out last year, but anyway, this year trying to see some more stuff, and so this was on my list by peer recommendation, and I finally was able to go see it tonight. Not into this director's work. I'm not into weird movies, and so I really enjoyed The Favorite. That was one of his, but did not watch Poor Things. No matter how many times I tried to get myself to watch it, just listening to people talk about it, just seeing a trailer, listening to the story, I'm like, absolutely not. That I have no interest in spending my time watching that. So I never even got around to that. And there's a long other list of his movies which I didn't see, and from what I hear, not my type of tea. And so this seemed very odd as well. But again, I figured, okay, The Favorite, that was something more tame. Maybe it'll be that version, but also it's just really highly recommended. So anyway, I went to go see it. So for me, if you're a fan of this director or this type of movie, then you'll probably be good, because it is I wouldn't say, it's kind of hard how to explain this, but I say it's a typical weird art house Oscar movie. Now, does that mean that the plots and everything are the same? No, but what it usually means is you're going to have some strong performances. It's going to be very well made technically. It's going to look good. It's going to be well shot. All those different things. But that doesn't always mean you'll enjoy it, but it will, be a well made movie. And so I think it falls into that category. And how you feel about the movie overall in terms of enjoyment, that's going to come down to how you jive with the decisions they made with the script. So before getting into spoilers, I'm gonna just give my kind of general thoughts, and then the second half, I'm really gonna try to figure this movie out live. Like, I know I could think it through and write it all out. Some people probably prefer it that way, but I like the authentic process of doing this live. So anyway, more non-spoiler, and it's hard really to have a non-spoiler conversations, which I typically don't, because this is a very simple, straightforward plot. Now it's more that meets the eye, Transformers, but in simple terms, Jesse Plemons plays a guy who believes he's figured out that the CEO of this powerful company is an alien sent here, or part of an alien group here to destroy the human race. And so he convinces his cousin to help him kidnap her, and he's trying to force her to put them in contact with the emperor of the alien race so that they can negotiate the aliens leaving the planet. All right, so there's that. And that really is it. You actually do spend, I think, more time before getting into the actual plot than I expected. I kind of expected this to be like 3 minutes and we're in it, but they do give you more time to spend with Jesse Plemons, who plays Teddy, and his cousin, and then Emma Stone and some of her interactions. And I really like that choice, because it just felt like a movie where I'm like, okay, they're going to just, here they are, boom, it's happening. And I'm fine with that, but I think the choice to give us more of their everyday life before we get there really gets you in the mode of I'm trying to figure out what I believe. And that's what this movie was pitched to me as, and what really got me excited was, okay, I want to go and figure it out, see if I can figure it out. And because everybody's just talking about how it keeps twisting and turning, And the fact that they gave us a little bit of their background and just a little bit of their life, it really sets you up in a place where, like, okay, there are some things here that make me believe he's wrong and she's right, but there's also some things that make me believe he could be right. So there's that. And then from there, the movie plays out, and it is very much a I won't say one room, but for the most part it is kind of a one room interaction between these two characters, and the cousin's there, and he does a great job as a supporting actor, but it mostly is Jesse Plemons versus Emma Stone. So there's that. And then, as many people said, the ending is what, because the whole movie is just like, do you believe her? Do you believe him? Do you believe her? Do you believe him? What about now? What about now? And in that way, I forgot I watched the third movie, because I was going to compare it to One Battle After Another, which I left feeling like I'm not sure how I feel about this yet, and I still need to see that again. I don't know if I'll watch this again. I might, because there's a lot of dialogue that's important that is hard to catch on the first time. But I left this movie feeling similar to that. But I also feel the same way I feel about After the Hunt. And that was, I really like this movie, but I'm not sure how much I like it, because there are some problems with it. And I left this feeling like, okay, there's a lot here and there's an impact on me, but I'm not sure how I like how it played out. So 3 very similar experiences from these quote unquote Oscar movies that I saw so far. That's about it. That's all I can really say. I liked it. Again, it's hard to give it a true grade, but I don't know that you got rushed to the theater to see it. Not at all. So you could wait till it's streaming, but I think it's worth watching. Again, I don't think you got to rush to the theater, but it's worth watching simply because the conversations you'll be able to have with everybody afterwards. Now, if you're not going to watch it and you don't care about spoilers, you can listen to me have this conversation, because there's a lot of things to work out. So that's the warning. I'm going into the spoiler territory now. All right. So first off, let me say I figured it out. I figured out pretty much everything. I figured out pretty much everything. It wasn't right away. I definitely had the going back and forth moments, but I figured it out right before like the main ending, or like right before they go back to the building or the headquarters or whatever. That's when I kind of put a cement on what I thought was going to happen. And so when I say I figured out, number one, I knew that what is his, I'm blanking on his cousin's name. It's Teddy. I don't remember. I'm not going to remember. I figured out his cousin was going to kill himself. I figured that out. And then I figured out that she was actually going to like be an alien. And also before that, I figured out that Jesse was going to kill himself as well. So there's that. Those are the main parts, like the kind of why and the what's. I didn't figure that part out, and that's part of what I still am trying to understand, but I figured out the main things. So what tipped it for me? What clues were I looking at? Because they were really painting it, obviously, like you can look at this as like somebody who is clearly hurt and is looking for every reason in the world to make up a story to explain what happened to him and how he can find some catharsis. And then you throw in his cousin who's like, I clearly don't really necessarily believe you, but okay. But then they do so much with Emma Stone to make you feel like she seems off. Now, to me, I thought that was just, the quirk of the movie. hey Emma, play it like this so people can continue to keep guessing. Because her first initial reaction, she's not even scared or any of that. She's like being tough with them, and then she starts to break down more and try to act more human. But I knew once there was going to be like a physical conflict, like how is she going to act, especially coming off of one battle after another, where you saw his daughter was a prisoner most of the movie, or not a prisoner most of the movie, but she was on the run most of the movie. And so these type of directors who are loved by Oscars and make high quality films and top tier actors, they're not going to make decisions that are too, goofy, or make decisions that are too like non-realistic. You know what I mean? They know, like, if a first time performer in the movie like Chase Infinity can show the human emotions and the nuances of being scared, Emma Stone can do that. So they continue to like have her not react that way, just to kind of make you think. But once she got free, or free enough to fight with Jesse, what she said to him was the first time I'm like, yeah, they're going to go with the alien thing. She said, I'm going to win because you're weak. I'm a winner, you're a loser, something like that. Again, in the moment like that, after what you went through, is that how a regular human's going to react? Unless you're like, something's really wrong with you, or in this case we're talking about aliens, so it's like, okay, she must be something. So that's where my antenna went up. The second thing is when she gets free of her cuffs, she does try to leave initially, but she doesn't try that hard. And then she goes in and finds his, like, his stuff, which I called that one too, because he just kept saying like things about how referencing the past with other situations. And the way it's one of those things in the movie where you have to pay attention to what people say and what they do. Again, good writers, they are doing that on purpose. Everything means something. And so, yes, he keeps telling his cousin stuff, but what does he say when his cousin's not around? What are some of the things that he has? So once we got to the point where he had the 3D model of the ship and all that, I was like, oh no, he's not like just making up a lie to get his cousin in on it. He really has been digging into this stuff. And so once he keeps referencing, especially with the whatever the voltage thing he was doing to her, once he keeps referencing past instances, I'm like, oh yeah, no, he's messed up. He's really been out here. And then we find that in his little secret room. So at that point, I'm like, okay, if you're really not an alien, you're really a victim in this, why are you going through this stuff? Like, you're all like, one of the captors is dead, one is already left, and you set him up to like go to jail. Like, you have no reason to stick around and go through that stuff. Like, it's one thing to say, oh, the door, she couldn't get out the door, but she wouldn't be sitting here looking through this. Like, the way she was looking through it, like she was actually trying to find something, instead of like, oh my God, I can't believe this room full of all this dead body stuff. Let me close that and continue to look for my way to get out of here so I don't die. She continues to look at all this stuff. And then the icing on the cake was when he came back and she was there waiting for him. Come on now. Again, he's not a bad writer, because a bad writer might have done that, but a good writer, we know she's doing that for a reason. Otherwise, if she couldn't get out that door, she would have been hide. She would have found all the crap down there. She would have found some type of weapon. She would have waited till he came in and ambushed him and then ran out of there. But she waited for him, and then of course she gives this super long dialogue that is so detailed, and I'm like, no, okay, clear, like not clearly, but I'm pretty sure she actually is alien. And then she ends up letting them take him to her back to her office, and that's the part where I was confused. This is where I get confused, because I don't even if she is alien, I don't understand why she allowed that, and I don't understand what they were trying to do, or like what she was trying to do. Like, I know what he was trying to do. He thought he was going to negotiate with them to get them to leave the planet. I don't know what she was trying to do by bringing him there. And again, maybe it's something that I just gotta rewatch the dialogue, but she didn't seem too concerned. It didn't really seem to affect her plans that he was dead. So I'm like, if you didn't really care if he was dead or not, then why did you bring him there? Because once again, she could have ambushed him. She could have killed him. She could have did whatever she wanted. So I don't understand why she allowed him to continue. Because even when she's talking to him, he's got the gun on her, but she keeps walking towards. She's clearly not scared of it, and he's breaking down. She could have disarmed him. So I don't know what was the point of bringing him there. Now, what I read it as far as him blowing up, first of all, let me back up. The calculator. I was like, yes, they're trying to make you laugh like, bro, she's using the calculator, she's lying to you. But it was locked up in a chest. I'm like, that's not a coincidence. Now I think she's telling the truth, which again, she was telling the truth about the transporter. She was telling the truth about the calculator. She brought him there. Like, I don't understand what, because she said something about let's get this information back to them. And I don't understand what info he has. He didn't even really fully know what was going on. He thought they were just trying to destroy them. So I don't know what she was doing bringing him back there. But him blowing up, like they said it could have been, accident. That was him. He killed himself. Like, when I keep saying that Teddy is the main guy. I forgot what his cousin name is. But when his cousin said, I'm ready to go, whatever, like, you gonna, take me up there. And then he kills himself, like, talking about leaving Earth and everything. Obviously double meaning. He was talking about dying. And Teddy essentially says the same thing, like, this is really happening. Okay, I'm ready to do this. Like, I read that as he was actually right, but he didn't actually believe himself. Now, I don't know about the gaps of how he figured all this stuff out, but he never truly believed himself. We saw him lash out whenever Emma Stone tried to, like, point out the flaws or point out, the obvious of what is probably happening here. And we see him lash out. We see him go in the car and lash out. And so, to me, I left away thinking, okay, he did not believe his own story, but he needed that story to give him drive and purpose, because it had to mean something. There was no way he could be going through this just for no reason. And ultimately he was right, but he didn't really believe his own self. I mean, he was mostly right about the aliens. He was right about the alien stuff, but as Emma Stone said, we weren't there to destroy people. We were there to help and fix it. And so they both ended up being right, but he ended up, dying. And then at the end, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, the whole, again, that's the part where I'm like, whatever. The whole aliens and like that looks so dumb. I'm just like, okay, all right. All right. We didn't need to do this. This is the type of stuff where I don't like these types of movies. It reminds me of The Menu, where I really love that movie, or not only love it, but I really like that movie, and then in the end they dressed them up like marshmallows. I was like, okay, this is just being weird to be weird. So yeah, that. But I don't. Obviously she killed the humans, and I felt like that whole looking across humanity, that was just so unnecessary. And I knew they was gonna have some naked people having sex. I just like it's that very James Gunn weird art. I'm an auteur, so I always have to do gore and sex, but whatever. So I just thought that was just like, okay, whatever. So I don't necessarily know what the point of all that was, and mainly because I gotta listen to Emma Stone's monologue again, where she gives, the whole background. I tried to follow it. She was going really fast. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she just kept saying something was in their DNA. I don't know. I couldn't keep up with what that whole thing was. So I have to rewatch that part. More than likely, I'm not gonna watch the whole movie, sit through it, unless it's with somebody. But I would go back to certain scenes so I could catch what everything was being said. So as far as overall, man, I don't know. I don't know what I take away from it. And again, that's exactly how I felt about One Battle After Another, where my feeling once the movie was starting to end, the only thing I could think is, man, it really sucks to be a revolutionary. I was like, is this an anti-revolutionary movie? Because obviously they don't tell you, they don't show you real. Actually, they only show that one girl gets shot in the head, but they don't really show you what happens to any of the other revolutionaries. And a couple of them, they mention what happened, but they don't tell you what happened to Benicio. They don't tell you what happened to Regina King, none of that. And so it doesn't directly say, hey, this is bad, but all of them end up in bad situations. And so Leo continues on with his life, and I'm not quite sure how that would work, and obviously his daughter chooses to continue to fight. So the lesson might be, hey, this ain't pretty, this don't have happy endings, but we still gotta fight. I'm not sure what exactly One Battle After Another was trying to say, except how the might of the military system and the law enforcement system can be used or can be weaponized against people, that part. But other than that, I don't know. In this movie, I don't know either. I really haven't wrapped my head around the whole what the bees mean and what these aliens mean. Obviously, we know there's always the humans messed up, humans destroyed the planet. That happens in so many movies. But other than that, I don't really know what they were trying to say. But I look forward to listening to people's ideas and seeing it again. So, but that's it for me, man. If you saw it and you got thoughts of what happened, please share them in the comment section. Did you figure out the twist? If so, when did you figure it out? Get the convo started, share around, thumbs up, subscribe, and if you heard it, it's official canon.